Hey, you. Good,
Hey, good morning, Jeanette. How are you?
good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, thank God. Another day. I heard it's
Yeah,
going to be a blazing
in this
hot.
crazy, crazy world.
Well, it's the norm now, right?
So, how many miles did you run this morning?
I ran 10 this morning.
You ran 10 miles this morning?
10
Like
miles this
is that
morning.
like normal for you?
I think a little bit above the normal. I'll average 6 or 7, but I decided to do 10 this morning.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool when you walk out. It was already warm.
Yeah,
10 miles, I think I always like to have my active days. I get out there, clear my mind. I listen to a lot of positive things while I'm running.
yeah,
And yeah, once you on my way, I start knowing okay things to do, who to talk to. So by the time I get home and change, I'm always here at the office by 9 o'clock or 8:30. So I definitely have to get up a little earlier than usual.
yeah. So, have you been in marathons? Do you run marathons?
Several, I would say, a couple. I would probably say I think I'm up to 23. I think I'm going on my 24th full marathon.
So, your bedroom wall is full with ribbons, or your
Believe
office,
it,
right?
believe it or not, I don't have my medals hanging anywhere. They're in a bag. They're stored away. I used to have them, but I think if you know what happened to me, I think I was already part of my house burned down, and I think that's one thing people don't know about me. That day, when my house burned down around 2 o'clock, we had an engagement. I believe it was for the
It was a
YPN.
YPN, I believe a YPN event. Yeah,
Correct. And what people don't know about me that day that I had to rush out, get my stuff, and then I still had to go speak at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. But I think back then I did have several medals, but ever since that incident, they've been put away. But I think overall it's like 30 some marathons full with half marathons with 5Ks. But they're there somewhere in a
yeah,
bag. I know I have them placed somewhere.
yeah. So, Jesus, how many years have you been in real estate and what made you get into this business?
15 years. So I think Nelson, one of my good friend of mine, he says that I'm a veteran now. Anytime you're more than 10 years, you're a seasoned veteran. 15 years, going on 16 years with the same firm at Century 21 of Better Service Realty. Believe it or not, I was probably 19 or 20 when I saw a banner. And I grew up in LA and I was out here in Southgate and I saw a banner that said, would you like to earn more than $100,000? I probably just had $20 to my bank account, walked inside. I was 19, grabbed the flyer, and I didn't follow up. The biggest mistake we could do as realtors, I didn't follow up back then. And 5 years later, I move out. Now I'm in Cudahy. I go back to the same office and took my test. I never looked back. I'm with the same firm. So going on 16 years with the
Wow.
same firm. But
So
that's what
time is
started.
flying. Time is
Yes,
flying for you.
yes,
Hmm.
it has been a blessing.
So absolutely. So what advice to new members would you give them, that one thing that you wish you knew then when you first started?
I I would say not that I lacked it. I believe that I came into, and I'm just like any other office. I believe a lot of people have the tools in front of them, but I think one of the biggest things is product knowledge. Like when you come in, product knowledge is key because that would boost your confidence, right? Learning what I've noticed just from what an FHA loan is to a VA loan, things to that nature, what a 1031 exchange consists of. Because when you're cold calling, you might get that buyer, you might get that seller that asks you those questions. And sometimes you feel you're not confident enough, so you lose the lead. That being one, another one I always say, learn your scripts, learn your dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been the foundation. And that's one of the biggest things that I do here for the young agents that walk into our office. Learn your dialogue right away. If they ask you to learn a script, get that script down, bring it up the next day, and then just implement the schedule. And the schedule, I think, is the foundation to everything. And but those are the biggest things that I will always tell
Yeah.
people. Product knowledge, obviously, you still want to learn the scripts and just have a schedule. And I was blessed when I came in. They told me that right away. And then I remember my first day, I was trying to open up my laptop, and my coach back then, Ernie, told me, "What are you doing?" He slammed the laptop. He said, "Get on the phone. These are the numbers to call." And but he met with me immediately, and right away, like, okay, I get it. This is what you have to do. And so that's one of the biggest things I'll tell new agents coming
Yeah.
on board.
So take
Do that.
advantage of everything your office has to offer in training. The
Right.
association has to offer in training. Know your script, know your elevator speech, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I mean, there's so many different tools and great
So
tools that are
many.
to our hands that I mean, every time I log into the MLS, I get a reminder. We have this training going on.
Yeah.
We're having a training now on how to deal with tenants. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, in this era, this is a big thing right now with COVID. We need to learn when you talk to a seller, if they want to, sell the property, has a tenant, how do we go about that? And believe it or not, some agents probably lose the lead because of that. They don't know what to say. So I always tell the new agents, there's so many tools out there that are just like at our phone.
What is your favorite real estate app or tool? What is your favorite?
There's many. I mean, I know I don't want to be biased here and say 21 Online has all these tools, right? But they have so many tools you could just tap into. But then you have, believe it or not, some people say, I don't like Zillow. Well, I tend to say, well, Zillow could be my best friend because if you're on a phone call, you can just tap into an address and then tell the seller you're within this range. You have to go back to your dial at that moment. But there's so many things with all these title reps. They have all these new tools that could just be at your disposal. And I mean, you could just tap into them to find out, if there's a non-owner, if it's an owner occupied. So that way, when you're door knocking, if you're out there doing that, which I know we're trying to get back to normality, you know the person that's going to open up the door. Are they an owner or are
Yeah.
they a non-owner?
Yeah.
And so you just got to tap in. I always say you got to network, tap into all your title reps, whoever your title rep is, ask them what tools they could give you free. You could tap into, go back and if you're whatever brand you're with, I'm pretty sure I see all these great tools from KW, such as Century 21.
Right.
Tap into, ask your management, and they'll let you know immediately. And don't just stare at it. Don't just open up. Ask
Right.
questions. And believe it or not, I think that's going to be a quick shortcut in
And
your
if I can
project.
add, and call your board.
And call your board, correct?
We have so much. We have so
Yes.
much for our members. It's crazy.
Believe it or not, you could tap into just the MLS and you could actually find out the statistics in each city.
Yep.
And that's such a easy tool because you can now probably, I've done it before, where you download it to your phone and you send it to a prospect, you send it to a lead and say, look, this is recent, so this has been the recent sales in the city of Norwalk, or if it's LA, whatever it might be. And you just tell them, look, they've been selling at this range,
Yep.
60% above asking price. A seller would always,
That's good info. Yeah.
yes. I mean, is this coming from California Association of Realtors? So lean on that, and it's nothing that you made up. It's this is public information that comes from from CAR. So it's so many tools out there. Again, you could tap in. Versus when I started, we didn't have a lot, but today I think there's so many tools to choose from.
Amazing. It's amazing. Technology is amazing right now.
Yes,
Okay,
I mean,
so I'm going to ask you a few funny questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, man,
Okay, you ready? Okay.
All right.
Books, music, or movies?
What was that?
Books, music, or movies?
I would say books at this stage of my life. If you were to ask me that back then,
I for sure would have bet music on you.
I was let me tell you, if people don't know me, back when I was 16, 17, I would be a lot in the recording studio. I grew up with a lot of
So books.
Latino.
What book are you reading right now? Or what is your favorite?
I went back to an old school book, Tom Hopkins.
Oh, okay.
Tommy Hopkins book. I went back to that one. I wanted to go back, and it just went back to fundamentals.
Yeah, old school.
And I really, believe it or not, it went back like right when the beginning of COVID. I went back and just picked up that book because I was like, okay, I need to go back to basics because there's no door knocking. The first 2-3 weeks, people were scared of cold calling, and when we were cold calling, people were actually afraid, like, why are you calling me at this moment? And so I had to go back to a book that, okay, let's go back to what is it, the beginning stages of real estate, and it just took me back. That's the book I've been on.
That's great. Yeah.
But after that, I'll probably say a movie. If anyone that knows me, if you're getting on my car, I rarely listen to music nowadays, but here and there, I'll go a little wild and I'll go back to my hip hop days.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus, what is your favorite word?
Vamos. I've been saying that lately. Vamos. I've been on that word. I mean, I hear a lot. Let's go. I keep hearing that, and maybe because my primary language is in Spanish. I was born in Guadalajara, And at home, it's nothing but Spanish for the most part. And so one of the things that growing up is vamos, vamos. And my parents would always say, pues vamos, my mom, vamos, ándale, vamos, vamos, vamos. And I hear that now in today's culture, it's very hip. It's in, let's go, or let go. They keep saying that.
That's a whole different meaning now.
Yeah, yes. And growing up for me was like, vamos, like if you're not out of the door,
Yeah.
yes. And
Now
like
let's
if you're not up,
go.
yes. And believe it or not, if you were at a party, if you come from a Latino culture or Mexican background, you're at a party and they say vamos and you're not in that car, like we're gonna leave you. And
They're gone.
you're trying to get in that car as soon as possible. But I've been on that word like vamos, like let's go, let's get to work, let's do it. And that's one of my favorite words as
Yeah.
I've been on that word for a while, vamos. And but other than that, I would always say blessing. I am a big believer in God. Blessings.
Yeah.
To me it's blessing others and anything I could do to just share word of wisdom. Maybe I have to pray over people. I mean, I'm a believer, but I'm always talking about faith, blessings, vamos.
Yeah.
Take
I feel
action.
very blessed also. Yeah, we are. You and I are very blessed.
Yes, we are. We're in a great country.
Okay. Mac or PC?
I'm gonna PC with a Mac phone with an iPhone.
Okay. Well, my next question was iPhone or Android. So obviously you're an iPhone.
iPhone. You don't want to hear my iPhone. You don't want to hear my iPhone jokes.
Yeah. So who was your real estate mentor? You mentioned Hector Nelson. You mentioned Ernie. But who's your real mentor?
I believe I can't say one, but I believe I have a Mount Rushmore, and I say my Mount Rushmore, and it's been, I think we all, and I've heard this once, I've recently heard this from Kobe on an interview, but I've always said that being in this office, I would have to say it was Ernie, because he was my first real estate coach, and then it was, rest his soul, Paul Morales, Vice man, everyone should have met him. I always talk very high. Even when I'm training in his room and just looking at his name, it's like, man, I don't know how many times I feel like I'll fall short to the way this man went. But Paul Morales is the one that actually introduced me to drinking water a lot, being physical, reading. He got me into reading, and then it was after that it was Ruben Sariano, which happens to be the president.
Absolutely.
And yes, and he was very strict with me to a point where like either you change your phone number, get out by 12 o'clock, and there was a story behind that. And what number I have now, almost going on 15 years, is the number that Ruben told me to change. There's a story behind that. And then, it was Victor Hernandez recently, who's been one of my mentors. He was one of my mentors. And then Fernando Moreno. And Fernando Moreno has been, we run together for so long. And he, every time we were running, it wasn't just about running the 16, 20, 24 miles we would run together. In between those runs, I would always be picking, I'm still picking his brain. And so he became a good mentor. And David Sariana. I mean, to me, it's like, that's to me, it's, what don't I get? Every time I get an opportunity, I'll ask him a question. I was just asking him a question yesterday. And you can't come out, but just, I'm always typing while I'm next to it. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I call him, Pastor, hold on. Let me write that down. You're going too fast for me. So that to me has been my Mount Rushmore. And I've been blessed to be surrounded by great men.
Yeah, good people. Really good people.
Yeah. To me, it's great people.
Yeah. Are you more of a seller or a buyer's agent?
I would say I'm probably 60-40. My first years in real estate I was a lot of a selling agent. And that's when, believe it or not, I'm a big believer on the buyer broker agreement, when you could actually do a transaction and buyer can pay us an agent a commission. And that derived from Ruben's training. And, once the market shifted, that's when Victor came along as well. And that's when he started mentoring me, get more into listings. And so it was a very, for maybe a lot of agents out there, they say listings are very difficult. But once you get the listing, that's your bread and butter. So I would say 60% listings. I would say 40% or 30% right now with buyers, but I'm always trying to balance it out as much as possible.
Yeah. So what is your most successful form of lead generation?
Right now, I've been cold calling. Cold calling has been one. I know mail-outs has worked in the past, and then social media. Social media, and then if you're on my social media, I know I post a lot of things by running, but believe it or not, I am on there,
Yeah.
sending messages out, and there's a great opportunity out there, and you just have to be relevant today's market. And social media has taken a lot of, I won't say 100% of it, but you have to be relevant on social media. And I just met someone yesterday, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was talking to someone, and I asked them, do you know Jesus?" And they know me by my handle on social media, Jesus Runs LA. And it turns out that at one point I was probably helping their cousin, and so
Wow.
that's how
Small
powerful.
world.
That's how powerful. Yes.
That's
And
nice. I love that.
I was I just met. I know him, but I never really got into a conversation. But because of social media, he knew me by Jesus Runs LA, and he's like, "Oh, you know my cousin, you know this." And so again, you have to be relevant in today's market.
Yeah. Okay, well, you are the first of the series of our Pay It Forward type of interview series. So before we go, announce who you're going to interview in the next interview.
Edith Villa. And I believe she's with Century 21 Realty Masters. Be able to.
Awesome.
Yes, right.
She's very cool, top producer.
Yes.
Lovely. She's a lovely lady.
I think I met her once or twice. The times we've gone on and talked about rap.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yes. And so I think I've met her several times. Great office out there. But yeah, it's gonna be a great blessing talking to her, and I'm definitely I know a lot of people are gonna be able to learn from her as well. She's gonna give a lot of great advice to a lot of young agents there. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Very knowledgeable. Okay, well, thank you for sitting down with me and in this interview. But I have one more thing.
All right,
Go Raiders!
I was going to ask you, who's your favorite football team?
We could have a conversation without mentioning our team.
Raiders.
Go Raiders.
All day Raiders, and I had the blessing to see them play football at the LA Coliseum.
Stadium is awesome.
We got to go once they open.
Oh, please.
We'll follow up with that interview.
Absolutely, we got to go.
Hey, thank you so much.
Okay, well, I love you.
Have a good one. Take care.
Okay, see you soon.